default ways of playing, they end up forgetting to tick off.
They did take more rounds against Cloud9 than Obey did, though, today. So it's possible that they're going to be in a better position. But we have maps to decide upon. Where are we going to play?
You know, Consulate and Coastline are both banned. As we saw, Consulate played by mousesports, SK on Coastline. Oregon will be first one removed. Clubhouse will not see another play. Villa removed again, which is left as bank and border. I assume, there we go, because I'm surprised. Mouse will ban border to take SK on it, which is...
It's 3 banks in one day.
Yeah, I mean, historically, this has been a pretty good map for SK Gaming. They haven't played it in the season, as you can tell with the statistics. mousesports have not either. So I'm very curious here.
It's gonna be an interesting match. We've seen 2 banks already today. We've seen 2 different interpretations. Well, I guess 4 different interpretations of bank, and we're about to see 2 more in this match moving forward. I hope that we're going to get new strategies as compared to what we've seen, and I think it's very likely. Let's take a look at the community vote. Who's going to win? You tell us.
Who do you think? Because, yeah, 70%.
No surprise there.
20. I have to agree, but, you know, last game we agreed, and look at what happened.
Yeah, this is a little bit closer. It's just kind of funny because SK is actually higher in the ranking. At the start of the day, they were in first place. They lost that first place position to Rogue earlier, but they still have potential to regain it. If they draw here, I believe they will regain it, but it'll be based on the round differential, so we'll get to that later. All that said, we have the game ready. We're going to load in. Thank you so much for waiting. Again, we will be playing Bank for the 3rd time today. Mouse versus SK. Mouse starting on defense, SK on attack.
All right. As we load on in, it's all good luck, have fun, respect between all of our players here, and we'll see which operators will get banned as mousesports. We'll have the first pick here against the attackers as they're starting off on the defense, and the blitz will get removed.
So, blitz being gone. That's an interesting ban. You don't often see that. I mean, he does get banned, right? He's not unbanned. But yeah. He's a very specific counter ban. That's the only reason you're ever going to have that happen. And Habana as well. Oh, boy. So for the 2nd time today, we will have no Habana on bank, which means the very limited options when it comes to those drop downs, forcing a lot of not interesting, more stale strategies. Echo the first defensive ban, and we'll see what Mouse decide to go for on their defensive ban.
Mira or Maestro. We've seen a lot of those being banned.
It's very likely. I mean, there's other options, of course.
Yeah.
Maybe a Valkyrie, for example.
Yeah, actually, very good point.
Yeah. On bank,
there you go.
Usually, yeah, she could be pretty useful on bank. You can get some awesome cameras out. And now that's just not going to happen. Blitz, Habana, Echo, Valkyrie.
All right, we'll head into round number 1 as, again, this will be mousesports on the defense. I'd like to remind you guys, if you have not spotted this, you look at that upper borderline in your overlay, and you can see next to each team 2 grayed out operator icons, and those are the operators that are banned by each team. So you can tell, 1 on attack, 1 on defense. SK banning Echo and Habana, mousesports removing the blitz and that Valkyrie. Just something to keep in mind. We're always looking for feedback, but I think, you know, we're working something out here so far. 6th pick, though. Wonder if we're going to have a change.
Entirely possible. Ash on to Montaigne looks like for mid, which makes a lot of sense given what we just witnessed with a basement defense coming from Mouse, which is the typical first site to go to. You need something on the attack to confront the copious amounts of anti-plant that there's definitely going to be set up in the red hallway. And Montaigne is as good as any operator to do just that.
All right, so we'll see if this ends up in a good play for the Monty as mousesports anticipating maybe something similar to that. They'll be rotating away off the Vigil, and we'll be bringing a Jaeger. Makes a lot of sense. Of course, Beastly bringing the Pulse means you're going to see him play in the back of that gold vault. Nothing out of the ordinary. And of course, letting the Mira remain in play means that chucking in Nitro Cells is going to be a bit easier for the defense. But Hyper playing on the Ela. And I'm very interested to see where they set him up, because
server.
Exactly where he is now, on that server stairs. Very strong position.
Yeah, Ella is really versatile to play on server. You can play him on the stairs, you can play him behind the stack. Either way, very powerful on that hold. And as we talked about earlier, with no Hibana, that means the attackers are funneled into server take. You don't really have a whole lot of other options. You can come from maybe a vault drop push, but it's a huge gamble and not advisable. It usually does not pay off. And considering SK6 picked into the Montaigne, I don't see it as very likely.
All right, we'll see the Monty coming up here from the Skylight as SK just very much pushed in. Now, one thing I want to highlight about SK is that they're a team that are so deep in strategy and thinking. Everything is so well rehearsed. Everything is so well planned out. That's how we saw them last night in their matchup. They're able to adapt very quickly off of their drone information play because they've tried on things so many times. And they are known for this even between some of the much bigger teams in between all the regions. SK is definitely a team to fear because their preparation is second to none.
Yeah, they are the heaviest strategic team in all of North America. That I think is unquestionable. And it's allowed them in this season in particular, now that they have access to that operator ban phase, to set themselves up for success and put themselves, excuse me, in a very strong position. They currently are in second, started the day at first, and all they need to do is draw here to potentially get that first spot back.
It all depends on the differential for rounds. Pojaman will open up the Skylight hatch. He has no second exothermic charge to play with, though, so gotta keep in mind at that point. Vertical will get taken out on the run by Hyper. Is still in the back. The Gmot mine will force Mint off of his shield for just a second, but they're gonna be able to take down this Ella very quickly, very efficiently, but no, the Monty gets shot from the side on the cross, and Neptunes will finish off Mint. And now Hyper just has free reign over the server room. Information is gonna get relayed from Beastly onto the Ella. So now the Ella can predict where Nyx will be pushing from.
The drop from Thermite, and Nyx has already gotten Hyper, so control over server, but what does it really give SK? Really, in this situation, nothing. Pojoman does not have a single exothermic charge left, and thus the server wall will be left completely reinforced. A nice break there from Hot and puts some bullets into the smoke, and Neptunes walks right into those bullets and gives the kill away. Hot and Cold able to get a extended lead for SK Gaming, and the smokes are going to allow for enough cover to plant a diffuser potentially, but the C4 misses on the wall instead, and successful plant leaves Vandal and Beastly in a 2 versus 3. That's going to be a difficult fight back. You do have the pulse with the heartbeat detector, but so little time, and one attacker on the drop down who will finish off Vandal as he attempts to push into the site. Beastly has downed one of the attackers, that's Pojoman. He will get the secured kill. Running out of time though, one in server, one above. And you can see Jarvis is going to play this extremely slow. Beastly gets a win though. It's all 1 versus 1, but so little time. Jarvis just going to be playing it, waiting for the sound. Perfect timing from Jarvis. He plays it safe and waits for his opportunity. Beastly doesn't have a choice. He goes for the disable and is unsuccessful. SK will take the first round of this match.
Yeah, seeing Jarvis last night on Coastline, just because he did not hear the defender coming back, I think it was Adam, that came back up and started diffusing, taking down the diffuser. He just tweeted after, it's like, you know what, that situation is going to stick with me for a while. And you know what, now he saves himself from that, at least for now. Maybe later we'll see.
Not again.
Yeah, not again, that's for sure. But SK Gaming put the first round on the board. We head into the second one as Mouse will go back down to lockers and CCTV.
So once more onto the breach, says Mouse, and they will go back downstairs. We still don't have a Hibana, so it's still going to be the best site on this map. Montaigne, though, 6 picked yet again from SK. Probably the right call, considering it's going to be yet a server take. And this round is very likely going to play out exactly the same round, or exactly the same way as what we just witnessed. I don't predict any changes whatsoever.
Yeah, there shouldn't be much. I mean, in the lineup itself for mousesports is fine. the way that they played around the servers really played into their hand. It's just that when push came to shove, SK Gaming was able to get the kills off of Hot and Cold playing the stairs. And there was nobody really to contest him because everybody from mousesports was so tunnel visioned on the entry into CCTV that they just kind of whiffed it, I guess, at the end. The C4 didn't connect as well from Beastly and the Pulse because it just hit the side of the wall that wasn't opened up correctly for him because of the smoke. Couldn't really see where it was being thrown. All that really puts you aside, and if you're mousesports, you really don't want to be losing the second round. You want to show that you can adapt and not give SK a huge morale boost.
SK have to be feeling good at least after the win. It wasn't too dominant, but it was still a clutch, and sometimes those are the things that you actually want and need. When Jarvis won that 1v1, you know, sure he was put in a position to win it, but it instills a lot of confidence in him as a player for the rest of his squad, and it means that his teammates feel more confident in themselves to have freedom of movement and ability to make plays because they rely on someone like Jarvis on the rest of their team to support them should they fail. Now, this push is being detected by Mouse. Beastly on the Pulse is going to see and hear the Montaigne coming down that main staircase. There is no barbed wire here, so it is theoretically an easy push for SK, but there's still plenty of time in this round, and so SK will analyze their options before committing to anything. Jarvis using the drone hold to detect the Ela at the bottom of the server stairs. Hyper now position given away will be called out.
Is that even a drone hold that you see used that often?
No, it doesn't really get used that often. It's kind of in an odd position, but it does exist.
A bomb has been located.
There we go. Definitely something to keep in mind. Jarvis will remodel the archives for just a bit to rotate into the open area as Thermite will open things up in the admin office. Jarvis will look down to support his teammates, and he does get the Jackal extra range there, is able to scan one player, and you see mousesports not setting any players in that server room. There's 57 seconds left on the clock, and mousesports all alive, all healthy, and there's 2 C4s to be played.
Yep. Still plenty of time. 44 seconds, and here come the gas canisters. Try and delay it. The first one detonated from Neptune's. He's still got plenty more. Smokes in response, but the counter comes out from Neptune's, and here comes the EE1D. Mint going deep in the site, and a drop for the Thermite, the planter. Pojo going for the top of desk. EE1D and Smokes are going to allow for this to be a successful push, but Pojo has been downed and now finally finished off. The Montaigne is well taken out. SK is losing bodies fast. Hodden gets the first for his team, and what a sweep. Mouse absolutely dominant in that round. They didn't give away any life too early on, and as such, they had plenty to work with going into the actual push.
Pretty darn good there from mousesports. They adapt and overcome as they put that second round, well, the first round on the board. After winning the second round, Teller's office will be the site of choice here, as Mint will possibly be bringing the Monty again. I'm not sure. Pojo Man again on the regular Thermite. I mean, Pojo Man on Thermite on Bank. That's a beautiful sight to behold.
Yeah, we've seen some interesting operator selection, but the main thing I want to take away from here is specifically actually Jarvis on the Capitao.
Yeah,
you know, we've been talking about it all day because he's been playing all day. Lots of Capitao being brought out, and he is a really useful operator.
And Jarvis especially, even looking back at Season 7, he played an excellent Capitao then, before he was cool, to say the least. And now, Jarvis just continues on with that play. As SK Gaming, I don't know if they were expecting this site, I guess, because Monty works, but it doesn't lend itself well to a push from the top stairs. You have to come in, take control of the staircase itself, and then try to breach into the site, into Teller's office, and play from there.
I don't think it really matters. I mean, we're talking about 3 different sites that Monty's going to lend himself or be useful on equally. I mean, you go into CEO, you go into Teller's, you go to open area. All of these sites are going to be the same in terms of how Montaigne can help you. I mean, he helps in different ways, but like in terms of gauging his usefulness, right? He's most useful in the basement. Mouse have won the basement. They can't go back down there. So SK has to know what they're playing into right now, at least I imagine. Looks like it's going to be a main lobby take, which makes a lot of sense. Probably the easiest take on Teller's Archives defense, and by easiest I mean you don't have to put as much work into it. The great thing about coming from the main lobby, you don't have to worry about your roamers. Instead of droning out and hunting down the roamers, you can just isolate them. You can put somebody to watch the flank while you take in through the Tellers, and you're good. That's it. That's all you really need to do on this take, because there is no flank to the main lobby. The best you can get is vaulting over the railing upstairs.
Yeah, even then, it's a very risky maneuver to attempt. That's for sure.
And it's not really a flank either, so it's more like a frontal conflict, and you make a lot of noise when you do it.
All right, Mint will possibly come on up here and contest the top floor. Go Mines will make his route a bit bumpy. So finally take it out of his leg. Nick's coming in from the hall. And you saw 3 players that are playing in the back, by janitor, by the conference room, and very easy here to dispatch the castle barricade. You spotted the mirror window in the back.
So this is interesting. Instead of just going for a site take, SK is committed to clearing these roamers out, and just like that, all of the Mouse defensive players will fall off the top floor. They say, hey, we've wasted enough utility, we've wasted enough time, let's save our lives, and just go ahead and go back to the site. And not just the site, but also open area. So they're going to maintain their roam, it's just no longer vertical.
And really, when you spot a Montaigne, holding the open area makes a lot of sense, because you can contest him from the side, because what will SK try to do? They have 2 solutions having that Monty. They either open up the Teller's wall with the Thermite, or open the side wall coming into Teller's office, and then push from there with the Monty. So with decisions being so low, you got to be very careful, and unfortunately, Han Cold not careful enough. He will go down on the Twitch, thanks to the C4 being thrown into him.
Playing on cash bag, Nyx is going to eat some damage from Beastly. Good peek around that to apply pressure to the aggressing Nyx. He's going to use his dual grenade launcher to do the same, though, indirectly. But pressure all the same. And vertically, you could see, ooh, through the bag, Nyx, an easy shot. Jarvis follows up with a kill on a vertically, and kind of ironic there. Hyper will refrag onto Pojo, man. So a 3-3. But SK is really starting to wiggle out this site control. Gas canisters are going to force Nyx to fall off of his push, but Mint going for a reverse plant inside of the site, and he will be successful. No denial coming from Mouse. Poor timing, it seems, on the push. And Mira eating some damage as he pushes up to cash bag. But Vandal, great maneuvering, will actually peek wide onto Nyx. And very lit defensive operators. One's going to be eliminated. Hyper also eliminated to a hip fire from Mint, leaving just Neptune's the final defender, and he's caught in a crossfire with a diffuser planted. This is not an easy position to clutch from. He's going to push his way onto his opponent. That's Jarvis inside of Archives. He cannot get the kill in time, so he now has to force himself to go for the defuse. There's not even time to disable. The round is lost, and Jarvis will get the final kill.
Neptunes will fall back to the sea, and SK putting the round on the board. It was a good start, let's say, from mousesports. Unfortunately, SK Gaming were able to bring it back, and I love the use of the Capitao crossbow bolts to push away the Jaeger. Was so low on health, stuck on his own in the elevators because he had to rotate back through there, and, well, Jarvis just comes on in, shoots in one flame bolt, and then the extra one on top with the smoke, runs into open area, plays from the admin office, and goes into Archives to get the last 2 kills off of it. And obviously using the Monty to bait players out into him definitely helps out. Even with the loss of the Twitch early on, did not matter much. I have to commend Nyx. That fight with the Zofia onto the cash bag was pretty good shot, to say the least.
You know, it's kind of easy to hit those shots over the cash bag, but it was a nice one. And And if he hadn't hit it, that's the thing, is it might be an easy angle to play, but if he hadn't hit the shot, then that means the site wouldn't have been open, it wouldn't have been able to go for a reverse plant, and the timing would have been just so askew for SK on that push. They wouldn't have been able to get the diffuser, and it would have been a kind of fallen into a TDM at that point.
That's what I like. The fact that now the Mira, first thing she does, open up the wall, looking into the teller's office. Makes that Monty a lot easier to deal with. You just need a bit of map control. It's definitely a much better situation to be in compared to reinforcing it. Now there is still Nyx with the Zofia. You can use that to open up the sidewall and head in with the Monty. So there's obviously the good and bad, the plus and minus for each one of your reinforcement ideas. But we'll see how this plays out for mousesports on round number 4.
Yet again, SK are bringing a Montaigne to the table. They're really sticking to their guns on this strategy. They want that hard pushing potential that cannot be outright denied by mousesports. There is an echo ban, which means you cannot make him undeploy or unextend his shield unless you have an Ella. It doesn't seem like Mouse is really too keen on playing Ella. Legion will assist in that a little bit, but still not as direct as some other operators. Jarvis applying a lot of pressure here from the north windows. Now, it's dangerous to repel here because you can always be run out on. If you're a defender, you can vault those windows, make it to the floor, survive, go down to the tunnel, and get into the building without being exposed too much. And if you get the kill on the player who's repelling, then it's very unlikely the attackers are going to refrag you. So, dangerous repel, but SK clearing the top floor the same exact way they did in the previous round. They've also opened up the mirror window already. Nick's going to eat some damage, but dishes out just the very same onto Vandal, who is fallen back to storage. And yet again, at 1 minute 30, mousesports fall all of their roamers off of the top floor and choose to come back to site. But this time, Hot and Cold is ready for them and will put some more damage onto those roamers, denying them control of open area. What a read from SK. While Houghton didn't get any kills, he denied a significant chunk of that middle floor. And almost all of the defenders are lit up except for Beastly.
Yeah, that is so much damage done. And see the reset. Oh, no. Pistol. Use your pistol, Nyx.
To be fair, you really should use the pistol there.
Yeah.
So Jarvis eliminated means mousesports will be equal here in this round, 4-4. And with 45 seconds left.
One thing I wonder is, does that count as a kill in the statistics at the end of the day? I really would like to ask.
I don't think so. I seriously doubt it. But with very little time left, mousesports, all they need to do is wait. Mint is going to go for that same reverse plant he went for last time, but this time the mirror window is already open. He goes for a hip fire to force the smoke off of this position, and he gets met with a gas canister. Gersmot's coming out from the Zofia to do some disorientation onto the defenders. Nyx will get Beastly. Vandal responds onto Hot, and it's just a back and forth here. Vertical, what a shot, saving him and his teammate against Nyx. And in the site, Neptunes gets a double kill on the planter and the cover, and he tests his crouch button. Mouse able to take that round, and we have a 2-2 scoreline. It's all tied up.
Crouch button definitely working there, as I can confirm. We head into round number 5 with a tied scoreline of 2-2. Something
I'd actually like to mention is a lot of people, you know, they see the teabagging or and whatnot, and they're like, BM. It's actually not, especially in the North American region. You know, we've seen many times, you know, pros, we don't care. You know, the guys, you see it on Twitter. If you follow these pros, they don't really mind that there's a little bit of fun being had.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't think it's about their fun being had, but that aside.
Well, the point being here, none of these guys who are playing in the match take it seriously. Do with that as you will.
I guess so. Beastly here on the 6th pick to move away from the Jaeger into the Pulse. We'll be playing in lockers and CCTV yet again. Mouse are able to win upstairs. Monty brought yet again, though, by SK.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Yeah, they've been making good use of this Montaigne so far. In the last round, it almost worked out for them yet again with that reverse plant. So much denial of control. but it wasn't enough. SK weren't able to get the kills that they really needed. You know, it was really interesting. They seemed to have so much in their favor. I mean, all that damage being done in the first half of the round to the roaming defenders, and yet there was no follow-up. There were no secured kills. As long as you have a gun and you can still shoot and aim, then you're able to be useful in a round, even with just 1 point of HP, and Mouse really displayed that in the previous round. Now they're going to get to go back to their comfort site, which is the basement. They were unsuccessful when they held the basement the first round. It was a nice take from SK into server. They got control with relative ease, and then they just went for a typical plant. And there wasn't a lot that Mouse had up their sleeves to stop them. But the second round that Mouse went to the basement, they were successful. They did manage to get that.
All right, we'll see how Hot and Cold plays things out here on the Twitch, but it's Nyx to be leading the charge. As Hot and Cold moves in with his combatant, his Twitch drone, and just looking around to see if there's anything for him to zap. As you know what, there definitely is. Those mirror windows that are set up downstairs by Vandal from House are definitely looking to be zapped.
Yeah, the Twitch drone. So we haven't been seeing a lot of Twitch lately. Obviously, that's because Mira gets banned an awful lot, and the most you know, Twitch really is the hardest counter to Mira. And when you don't have her on the opponent's side, you don't really necessarily need to bring the Twitch. So she is here. She was left unbanned. We have an Echo and a Valk ban instead. And because of that, SK is going to choose to stick Hotton on that Twitch and give him some more fragging potential, but also help with opening up the mirror windows.
Yeah, keep in mind, Twitch was slightly nerfed.
Yeah.
With a bit less damage on the FAMAS, but that rate of fire, it doesn't really matter.
It's 37 damage instead of 40. You know, you're losing 3 points.
At distance, it'll definitely have an effect. Up close and into medium range, it will pretty much have no effect on the drop-off.
So, it looks like, as expected, we're going to be seeing a server take from SK. As they open up the drop-down, the second thermite charge will very likely be used on the main site wall. However, he doesn't necessarily need to. Given you have the Montaigne, there are a little bit more, or a few more options you can use that thermite charge on, but better safe than sorry. SK will open up that server wall and give them the default plant spot as an option.
We'll see if SK can stick this here. There's quite a bit of time as well that is available for SK, but we've seen how this transpires in really a bad way sometimes for teams that tend to spend too much time baiting out equipment from the defense. Grenades and everything's going to get lobbed into them. Hot and Cold with one from above.
Yeah, and he's going to actually be able to go into the garage. That's a huge potential crossfire that could be established. As Jarvis gets Neptunes, Mouse are losing bodies fast. 20 seconds left, though, and SK are pressed for time. Mint has been downed, but SK is ready to cover, the final defender being the Pulse of Beastly in a 1 versus 5. Now, again, he still does have a down shield, but he's not even able to get a single kill as Jarvis is holding the rotation out of Vault, and SK will take the final round of this half, ending it 3-2 in their favor.
It's a pretty good start for SK Gaming. They head on to the defensive side. And we'll see if they start off on CCTV and lockers. There we go. Makes a lot of sense. Being first site to start off. Of course, Echo being banned, you won't be seeing that trio of Smoke Maestro and Echo as we saw in the previous matchup. But at least we'll see the Maestro and the Smoke. I think those two will be locked. Jarvis and of course Beastly are kind of debating what to go for. Vandal might switch away from the Blackbeard into another operator, as Jarvis going into the Ella. Maybe on 6th pick, we'll see some changes.
And there's still potential for that rotation at any time. But these lineups make sense as they are now. And lockers being the site of choice also makes sense for SK. Habana not on the board. Man, it's so weird we've seen 2 banks with no Habana today.
Yeah.
You don't usually see something like that. The same map played with one particular operator off the board. I mean, it's like the border, the lack of thermite on border is how bank is without a Habana. You know, there's so many options you just lose because you don't have that one particular hard destructor.
Yeah, it really narrows your options down to very few things that you can play. Obviously, you mentioned this earlier on in the day, Michael, that a lot of times you'll see teams, especially back in Season 7 when you did not have these bans, play with both hard destructors. Why? You want to give yourself more options. No matter the map, there's almost always something that you can do with having a Habana and the Thermite at the same time, and just in case you lose one of them, you still have some hard destruction to be played with. Here, you're really only locked to one.
5 seconds to
So many maps where you would bring both. So many. I mean, and you forget about it until you can't bring both. And then when you can't bring either, oh boy.
Yeah, we've seen that. Actually, it was very interesting. That fuse shield between Millennium and Vitality was definitely a cracker of a game.
Yeah, Higgs played out of his mind there. But here in this match, interestingly, we do not see a Mira, despite the lack of her ban, and we also don't see a Twitch. So Mouse may be anticipating that. Well, yeah, I mean, clearly anticipating that they saw it in the 6th pick, but not going for that 6th pick as well. So no counter or in play into the Mira potential.
All right, Vertical moving on in here with the Inox and trying to spot any footprints on the floor. Nothing gets spotted so far. So Vertical is starting to assume that, hey, maybe there was nobody contaminating the floors here. As I assume that Inox was prepared early on for the janitor to use it to clean up the floorboards. And he missed a spot. The CEO is not going to say that when that kind of utility is played in.
So that shield is actually blocking the grenade launcher and preventing it from bouncing all the way down the stairs. So it's not being detonated on proximity. The explosive version, though, going to do some damage to the Ela, but not break the shield, interestingly. And here comes the final disruption version, I believe. As looks like that's Jarvis, still going to hold on to this server staircase. The drop down beneath him has been opened up, so he's going to have trouble rotating out here, and he's fully committed. That will also be called out by Mouse, and here comes the EE1D to force him to stand still. But he could still win this fight, theoretically. He will get one, but Vandal able to refrag. Hyper taken out, and that's the Dokkaebi, which means no more phone calls in this round.
That's a decent chunk of time that's been burned off thanks to a shield and smoke mines. I assume that there was at least one ADS that was set up there to help him out. Now, usually you'll see if the L is playing in there, he's going to be playing from the lower stairs and not all the way up top, close up to the shield. But you know, if you set that up in that way, then the shield can be used by the attackers to their advantage against you. You've got to be very careful of how you set up the utility. But Neptune's coming in on the drone, scanning things around, getting information. 40 seconds on the clock, and Mint is ready with the C4.
Yeah, C4 going to be the best way to counter this default plant spot. Potentially an Evil Eye in place to do it as well, but gas canisters are going to be the first line of defense. And that's going to be Pojo, man, in the red hall, just waiting for his opportunity. He's working in tandem with Mint, using that heartbeat detector to call out information and give his teammates the perfect opportunity to get these kills onto the attackers. A rush from Vertical will be thwarted by Nyx, holding a long eagle from the doorway. Pojo gets one using his gas canisters, and it doesn't look like the attack is going to have much luck in this round. With only 4 seconds left, EE1D detonated, but Nyx manages to get the kill regardless. Houghton gets the final one. Mouse absolutely shut out.
I want to say the instant SK realized that the push is going to happen, look at how they maneuvered the Smoke and the Maestro, even putting the Jaeger from behind them to support with extra line of fire. And they just had all rifles pointed at the one place that mousesports could push through, and that is through that server doorway.
And that, by the way, is why you bring a Montaigne. You don't have a Habana, you need somebody to supplement that. You have to alleviate the pressure that is being applied to you. You cannot use the drop downs. That is your normal alleviation. It doesn't exist.
Triggered!
So find a different solution. No, but for real, there was no solution being employed by Mouse. They just chose to walk their way in, and that's not going to work. So moving forward, they'll have to work on that. And SK currently in a very heavy lead at 4-2.
Pojo Man switches over to the mute. I wonder if he has a deployable camera on there, because the Mira is not going to be played.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
I'd like to clarify something I said earlier regarding the control button checking. Just to be clear, you know, you can. It's perceived in many different ways, but many of the North American pros don't take it seriously. And that you can do with as you will.
Yeah,
I know there
don't
are
think
many.
pros really care about it.
What? See, that's the thing. There are many different interpretations across the regions, and I find it to be amazingly regional as well. I think North America is that one odd one out that really just doesn't mind.
Yeah. Whereas in the others, it's not really kind of a normal thing. But you see, even the mute bringing the deployable camera, and it'll have it set up to guard the hallway. I love this play. It's actually, to some extent, better than having the mirror on the site.
Yeah, it is certainly.
That hallway is such a tough spot to hold as well. It really helps them out.
Yeah, and we've said this before. A broken mirror window is often worse than no mirror window at all.
Yeah.
Unless it's deliberately broken, which obviously.
At that point.
Yeah. So, SK just choosing to forego it here and play around. Play around however Mouse is going to confront their defense just directly, and I actually really appreciate that. It's telling of SK having their own sort of game they want to play and sticking to it. You know, you can very much expect a Mira to be banned, and if you expect a Mira to be banned, you should practice as if you don't have Mira available, and then even when she isn't banned, if you're ready and practice to play without her, then do it.
I mean, a lot of teams have practiced to play without Amira because they're assuming that she'll get banned. That was the assumption coming into this season, that she would get banned very often. Now, in North America, hasn't really been the case. I mean, still, she gets banned quite a bit, but compared to EU, no one loves their Amira bans as much as Europe does.
No, absolutely. It looks like the site is relatively undefended, and it appears that Mouse is read into this. Vertical going to walk into Archives and establish some very easy control. There's nobody from SK in a position to deny him this. The diffuser has been planted. This is just about the biggest throw of a round I've ever seen from SK. And it looks like they're going to have to retake onto a fully established hold, even on Repel from the north windows. Vandal will get Pojo. The run out from Houghton will get Vandal, and he's going to go into the main lobby. But he's being detected by not only the map, but the EE1D. And these SK's defenders are going to be forced to stand still. Jarvis attempting to retake from Tellers. Nyx gets one from behind, all the way over by Kitchen rotation. There's a 3 versus 3, but so little time left. Vertical gets Jarvis, a refrag by Nyx, but it's not going to matter. And a ginormous throw due to a huge hole in the defense from SK results in an easy victory for Mouse.
I don't know what to say.
I wish you guys could see Gassan's face through that round. It was pretty bad. That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're wondering what's going on here, SK just left the site open, and Mouse walked into it.
Oh, hey, there's nobody in here. Good morning.
Yeah.
How are you doing? We're just going to leave this diffuser here. See you later.
That's exactly what happened. It looked like SK were establishing vertical presence, but unfortunately, if you're going to commit yourself to that, you need to still hold the lanes in the site. And they didn't have any holes open to do that from above. So they had to go for a retake after Mouse planted the diffuser. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's
weird round.
Weird round. Very unfortunate. We always have a few interesting games. Well, a few interesting rounds every single play day. This definitely tops the list for this play day.
I mean, we saw Ichi lose to SSG just earlier. We saw Obey get kind of rolled over by C9, and we didn't expect that. We expected a close match there. We saw Rogue versus Noble. Rogue narrowly took it with only winning the just one attack round. Nobody could win an attack round until the very final round, and it was Rogue who got it. And now today, Mouse are giving SK a run for their money, and SK started the day in first place. Mouse in 6th.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if this is the 2 starting days of our final play week of Pro League here before the 6th major, I'm excited to see what Latin America and EU have to offer after this. But see that defense lineup.
If we could go back to the CEO office, we could take a look at something here. Notice these holes that have been opened up? You remember what weren't there last round? Or at least nobody was watching last round?
I think I have an idea of what you mean. I think those holes are actually necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. So what they do is they allow you to hold the doorways into the site and deny control vertically, which is what SK was trying to do. They were just they were slow in establishing that.
Yeah, I think one strategy that you can do is look through those holes
Okay.
and use a rifle to shoot through into them.
So Mouse has determined that they're being held now. They've realized that we're going to be confronted if we go for that same strategy, so they're going to reevaluate. It's very likely that they're going to try and clear the top floor so before they go for the push, or possibly, and this is also an option for them because they have a thermite, go into open area and thermite the wall in small office and forego those holes and just walk into sight again, which is poorly defended directly. But we'll see. It's all up to Mouse. Vertical going to be the first one to confront one of these defenders as he pushes his way into meeting hall. He's got that EE1D and a reloading castle completely exposed. Pojo Man, not paying attention, will lose his life. You could see that the small office wall is not even reinforced, which means you don't need a thermite. You can open it up with a Jackal shotgun if you want to. Vertical gets his second in the round, going for a third, narrowly missing the shots through the wall onto Jarvis, who reassesses. And a nice angle here could potentially net him a kill, and yes, it will. Vertical shut down after his first 2 frags, and no more Jackal, no more shotgun soft destruction. SK are still in this round.
Yeah, there's still the thermite available for mousesports if need be, but obviously you can just shoot it through the wall, and well, there actually is no more exothermic charges, so no more destruction available for mousesports outside of their own rifles, and that might take a while to open through the wall. As Vandal is setting up on the window. Still see Jarvis hold up upstairs on the dock. He'll try to rotate away, but remember, they have that beautiful camera in the hallway, and it just gives them info on Hyper. They take him out, and Jarvis with one more. Jarvis going ham here as Nyx is trying to hold it in. They just dropped the Blackbeard on the floor. What is happening? Jarvis destroying mousesports. That's the 4K, I believe, at least, if not the ace from Jarvis. Beautiful.
I'm fairly certain that was indeed an ace. He did get the first kill of the round onto Vandal, the Jackal, who was clearing into storage. So very well done there to Jarvis. Hot and paying the respect. Very well deserved. And SK now on match point. 5 rounds, they will guarantee a draw. And one more round, they will get a victory.
This has to be devastating for Mouse, seeing as they recognized everything but couldn't adapt to it.
Yeah, it was a really good read from Mouse. You're right. They started pressuring onto the top floor as predicted. When they realized they were being pressured vertically, those holes that were opened up denied immediate entry to the site. So like, okay, we'll just clear upstairs and then we'll move our way down. But they couldn't get past Jarvis, who was the last bastion, far back over just near the lobby top floor. And he was in not the greatest position, but he managed to make it work for him. And no, that's all she wrote. There's not much more to say.
But Pojo Man had fallen on the castle earlier on, so well, obviously 2 teammates as well. So they could look through into the camera, make sure that nobody's contesting from the hallway, which means that all Jarvis has to do is just use that ACOG on one single angle, and once he cleaned up the hallway, there's only one other position to get pushed by. It's the stairs, and that was the end of it all, as the last 2 from mousesports were taken out. And mousesports, you mentioned, how do you change things from being pushed away by SK Gaming? You bring a Monty.
So they have brought the Monty finally, but is it too little too late? The question lingers. 2 rounds to go, and that's only for a potential of a draw for Mouse. And meanwhile, SK are gunning for that victory. Now Jarvis with 14 kills, I want to say. He's a player.
Oh my God.
He's a player, I think, you look at his history, you look really far back, and he actually got a lot of disrespect when he was still, a lot of flack, that's a good way to put it, when he was just starting out in the league. And it was due to him going from team to team to team, not necessarily his own fault, but just not really able to find a home. It seems like now, being on SK, he's managed to find that home, and he's coming into his own and showing everyone the skill that he has. With 14 kills, very impressive match so far.
And I have to say, this is an excellent performance. As when Nyx was brought into the team after Waffle had played the 1 match earlier on in the season, we're like, okay, Nyx, player coming in, hasn't really had a pro league time, etc. it's going to take maybe some time in a couple weeks to come into his own. No, instant hit, and he continues on as well.
See, that's the crazy thing. The SK replaced Waffle immediately into the season after the first match, and we all thought that, oh, they're doing all these roster changes, you know, they're going to be tripped up for the rest of the season. But here we are halfway through, and they're about to solidify their first place position. If they just get this win right here, that will be exactly what happens. And off of, you know, just not many expectations for them going into the season. So very well done to them as a team. mousesports, on the other hand, they're still putting up a fight. They're not done yet. Don't count them out. They have the same skill. They've got that potential, and they've got the Montaigne now. So they have made the mid-match adaptation that we needed them to make, and they might be able to get a defuse plant here off of that.
C4 is going to get thrown right on in, and
no,
the explosive. You're supposed to stand there, Vandal.
No, you stand there. You block the explosion. You deny the kill, but he didn't. He walked backwards. He got afraid of the C4, and now Hyper will have to pick up the diffuser. Gas canisters come out to try and further deny the diffuse plant. It looks like it's being stuck, though. Hyper might be able to go for it. Oh, it's being called as no. He faked it out. He's just trying to pace out these gas canisters.
Yeah, and that Monty takes so much damage. Vertical, taking down the Maestro of Nyx, but Vandal is so low on health. Jarvis still has, well, does not have a C4. I think Mint has that C4 on the pulse. There we go. He can maneuver around as they throw in an extra bit of gas, and that bait will work out. 18 seconds left on the clock. Beastly, though, might be the savior, but no, Hot and Cold comes up. And this time he is very much on the hot side. Vandal looking in. 7 seconds on the clock. Vertical with one. C4 thrown out from Mint onto Hyper. That will deny the diffuser plant, as now it's up to SK with Jarvis getting one vertical with two Pojo Man, and a 1v1 comes up from behind the Monty. Slashes him on the side. Pojo Man with the last 2 kills as mousesports will fall. SK Gaming get the victory 6-3 and solidify their hold at a very tippity top of that scoreboard for North American Pro League. SK Gaming have not been to LAN since Katowice Year 2, Season 1, aka Season 4. That's been a long time, and they're hungry. They're hungry.
They are certainly setting themselves up well to get to that LAN event, finishing the first half of North American Pro League for Season 8 in first place off of that win. 15 kills for Jarvis, 9 for Hot and Cold, and so on. What a stellar performance for SK. Meanwhile, Mouse did put up one heck of a fight. You have to credit them for that. Going up against the absolute train and unit that is SK, though, you expect them to not be successful.
Very interesting plays, I have